Issued in the year before the worst strike in baseball history, 1993 Fleer baseball cards are a product of their time. Namely, they are slick and fancy without much character. And thanks to a rush to squeeze in rookies as early as possible, 93 Fleer is ironically devoid of top-tiered rookie cards, since most of the big names debuted earlier or slightly later like Derek Jeter and Fleer XL. Of course, they were also overproduced to the hilt, meaning none of them have a ton of value these days. The good news about all this is that you can pick up Hall of Famers all day long for less than $10, even in perfect graded condition, PSA 10 for our purposes. And 1993 Fleer baseball cards are fairly loaded with Hall of Famers like 1993 Fleer Tony Gwynn, number 138. One of the main gut shots from the 1994 strike that still stings fans even today is the thought that Gwynn had a shot at hitting 400. Through 110 games, 117 team games for the Padres, Gwynn hit .394 that summer, and he was on a slight upward trajectory when the players' strike was on. Would he have made it to the magical 400 mark? The odds in the record book say no. But Gwynn was a driven man, and the chance to make some history, he would have poured his soul into the chase. That 1994 run and what might have been are just two reasons Gwynn remains popular with collectors today. 1993 Fleer Frank Thomas, number 210. Thomas did things in the first half of his career that baseball hadn't seen since the days of Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio. Things like hit 300 with 30 home runs, 100 runs batted in, 100 runs, pretty much every season. In the process, the Big Hurt won 2 American League MVP awards and set himself on a beeline for Cooperstown. Oh, and he made himself into a collector favorite. 1993 Fleer George Brett, number 236. It's sort of ironic that Gwynn made his run at 400 the year after Brett retired, because the Royals' grade had been the last to seriously challenge the mark. Brett's staggering .390 came in the 1980 season, marred by time on the disabled list, hemorrhoids, that limited him to 117 games played. That was just enough for George to win both the American League batting crown and the MVP, and helped Kansas City all the way to the World Series. And the whole performance elevated Brett to a sort of mythical status that never left during the remainder of his Hall of Fame career. 1993 Fleer Robin Yount, number 260. Yount and Brent turned in eerily similar careers, starting when they both debuted for recent 1969 expansion teams in the mid-1970s. From there, both snagged single-season rookie cards in the iconic 1975 Top Set. Both won American League MVP awards, 2 for Yount. Both smashed their 3,000th hits in 1992, and both retired in 1993. And both breezed into Cooperstown in 1999. While Yount never held quite the hobby sway that Brett did, he wasn't far behind, and he still isn't. 1993 Fleer Kirby Puckett, number 273. By the time this card was issued, Puckett had won 2 World Series with the Twins and a batting title of his own in 1989. The dude who looked like a fire hydrant and played with pure joy had been a fan favorite for nearly a decade, but he was nearing the end of the line, though we didn't know it at the time. After hanging up his spikes due to health issues in 1995, Puckett continued to loom large in the hobby and was a first-ballot Cooperstown selection in 2001. 1993 Fleer Don Mattingly, number 281. By 1993, Mattingly was deep into his injury-induced decline phase that would eventually lead to his early retirement at age 34 in 1995. He did manage a final mini power burst, 17 home runs in 93, but that Bockley back of his was just too far gone. Not that any of that really mattered to collectors. Donnie Baseball, in his 1984 Donruss rookie card, rewrote all the hobby rules and helped precipitate the boom of the late 1980s and 90s. For better or worse, we wouldn't be where we are today without Mattingly, and collectors still adore him today. 1993 Fleer Ken Griffey Jr., number 307. After a few years of teasing us with glimpses of his full potential, Jr. burst into baseball beast mode in 1993, tagging 45 home runs and leading the American League in total bases, 359. Griffey served notice that he was every bit as talented as we always dreamed he would be. Over the next 15 years or so, he went ahead and built out a case as one of the handful of greatest players of his generation, and drove his 1989 Upper Deck rookie card to the top of the hobby Mount Olympus. All of Griffey's other cardboard came along for the ride too, including lesser issues like this 1983 Fleer card. 1993 Fleer, Dale Murphy, number 496. Like Mattingly, Murphy followed a burst of 1980s brilliance, with a steep decline in the 1990s. The two-time MVP as a member of the Braves spent the first 3 years of the new decade with the Phillies, then landed with the expansion Rockies in 1993. That would be his last hurrah in the majors, and though he missed out on the Phillies World Series run, Murphy appeared in Liberty Burgundy on cardboard all summer long. 1993 Fleer, Cal Ripken Jr., number 551. When this card was issued, Ripken was halfway between winning his second American League MVP award, 1991, and breaking Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games played, 1995. Cal was already a hobby staple, though, and all his cards, even this 1993 Fleer, remain collector favorites today. 1993 Fleer, Nolan Ryan, number 690. Even though it seemed like he would pitch forever, Ryan finally retired following the 1993 season. But he gave us one last shot of his greatness that summer, and this 1993 Fleer card was there for every pitch. Today, it's a small part of Ryan fabric, but historic for having been born at just the right time. Like our video? Then like our videos and subscribe to our channel. waxpackgods.com